So as you woke up today, you saw the markets are waking up. We're looking at Bitcoin sitting at 3.23% up, with Ethereum up 8.65% and XRP sitting at 9% up, with the Fear and Greed Index sitting at 26, with the total crypto market at $2.29 trillion. But what is causing this spike in the market? Well, if you haven't heard yet, we are hearing that the United States has made a peace agreement with Iran, and the Strait of Hormuz is potentially going to open up again. We're going to talk about that story, as well as giving you the bigger picture of what's really going on. We have stories from the BIS, Canton Network, Algorand, Stellar. There's so many things to talk about in this video to give you the more macro view, a broader view of what's really happening. As all these distractions are happening behind the scenes and in front of your face, we are seeing that the BIS central banks are stepping in a major way to the crypto realm, and they are recognizing what an impact this technology is going to have on the future of finance. We're going to talk about those stories and others, so definitely stick around for the full video, and hopefully by the end of the video you have a better understanding of where we are sitting at in the market and why it's super important that we don't get distracted with all the headlines and we don't chase the excitement as the charts go up. We step back, we evaluate the market, and then we respond to the market, and that's what we do on this channel here. So if you are new here, welcome to this channel where we break down different crypto projects but also look at the crypto market as a more macro view as a whole. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Let's talk about what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz, United States, and Iran. So we're going to go through a couple of stories. I think it's about 4 different stories. We're going to tie them all together, then we'll recap them all towards the end. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. This comes from the White House on June 14, 2026. It says, the deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete. Congratulations to all. And of course, you have the president's True Social post there if you want to snap it and read it later. Then we have from Shahbaz Sharif. He is the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. He also is confirming this as well. It says, following the intensive talks, we are pleased to announce that the peace deal between the United States of America and Islamic Republic of Iran has been reached. Both sides have declared the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon. The official signing ceremony will be on Friday, 19th June in Switzerland. Then from Mario Nafal, we have from the Iran's Supreme National Security Council statement. The Islamic Republic of Iran, under the leadership of its martyred leader, has completed its success over the American Zionist enemy. War and military operations on all fronts, including Lebanon, and immediately and permanently from tonight. Naval blockade lifted immediately. And from that naval blockade, we are seeing from Corn Bureau that just then the first vessel passes through the Strait of Hormuz after peace deal. India's shipping minister confirms LNG carrier Disha has safely transited the Strait of Hormuz with no congestion reported. Then what are we talking about all this for? So this is something we've been seeing with the market manipulation. The Strait of Hormuz is open. No, it's not. This is causing a lot of uncertainty within the market. So if you've been wondering why your crypto project has been fluctuating with such volatility, it's because of this right here. We don't know where to go. Major institutions and investors have no idea where to go when they are so uncertain is the Strait open, is it closed, because it has a big impact on the economy, as you well know by this point. But also I want to keep in mind that we are seeing that the ceremony being signed June 19th, which is this Friday in Switzerland. It's rumored that Trump is going to be out this week. He's meeting with several countries of the G7, and I think there is definitely a bigger game at play here, but we'll see if June 19th this deal gets signed. And another interesting fact about June 19th is here in America, it's what we call Juneteenth. So this is a big holiday here, and this holiday we're going to see that the banks will be closed. So we're having a deal signed on the day the banks are closed as we're looking to get into crypto, which we're going to tie into here in a second with the banks in the back end. Are you starting to see the bigger picture here? The market manipulation, all these things are simply a part of the plan, and they're unfolding. And that's why you can't get too distracted or stressed from them, because they're just headlines that are coming out to draw your attention elsewhere. And as we're talking about that, check out this post that comes out June 15th from Eleanor Tourette. And it has to do with the Clarity Act. And this is another, major impact that we're waiting to see get signed or not. There's a lot of back and forth, just as we've seen with the Strait of Hormuz. So check it out. It says, new, why the math doesn't work for a July 4th Clarity Act. With just 9 working days before recess, lawmakers still need to resolve ethics, merge text, and navigate procedural hurdles, but there's still optimism about the bill's passage this year. Okay, so now that we're all caught up on the more macro events, what's going on with the conflicts, what's going on with the Clarity Act, let's move into the banking sector and what these institutions are doing and what they're getting ready for. But just as a reminder here, let's read a post from Hypebeast that comes out on June 13th, 2026. And this is just a reminder for anybody that's missed this episode that we talked about this. So check it out. It says, the DTCC Canton Network reminder, in only 30 days, July 13th, 2026, DTCC's tokenization services start limited production trades on the Canton coin. So why that's important, of course, is we are seeing the DTCC move into tokenization, crypto in a major way, which we've already heard about for the longest time now. I'm not saying that's new, but just a reminder for anybody that may have missed it, July 13th is a major launch date. And as we start to see that date creep up, we're starting to see this conflict suddenly end, right? Now let's move into the BIS and what the BIS just recently announced. It came out today, and this was pretty sure it's the 15th. Yeah, so it's the 15th of June. This came out here. It's an interesting report if you want to check it out here. Read along with me, though. This is coming from the Bank of International Settlement. I'm not going to read all this, but I did highlight the part I want to read to you guys. It says, the transition of smaller balance sheets coupled with the growing footprint of non-bank financial institutions is having material impact on liquidity demand. Against the backdrop, central banks have begun recalibrating their lending operations, lending facilities, and open market operations that extend funds to private sector borrowers on a collateral basis. But when you open this report here, the evolution of central banks lending operations, insight from the Markets Committee compendium, you roll down here, I just highlighted some key takeaways. This is very an extensive report. It's fun to read if you want to dive into it. There's a lot of good information into it, but it says key takeaways, the updated Markets Committee compendium with new information about counterparty access and collateral frameworks provides valuable insights about the nuts and bolts of operational frameworks. All of their operational frameworks in the BIS and central banks, they're completely changing. And why they're completely changing is right here. As we read on, it says the transition to regimes with less abundant reserves involved a recalibration of central banks' liquidity toolkit to encourage use whenever economically sensible. Central banks have taken different approaches to expand liquidity access to non-bank financial institutions. We're going to talk about that, and collateral frameworks. Central banks balance the ability to provide liquidity with risk and cost considerations. So on a very high level, what this essentially is saying is central banks are recognizing they have to shrink their balance sheets. They have to access liquidity in other ways than they are used to, essentially what's going on here. And when they're talking about non-bank financial institutions, or NBFIs, they're talking about entities such as Coinbase, Uphold, Ripple, Kraken, Circle. All these are technically right now non-bank financial institutions. Yes, some have filed for their full banking license, but at the moment, they don't have that. And at the moment, they are considered NBFI. So this is important because the BIS, the Central Bank of Central Banks, is recognizing that they now have that competition and they need to make sure this runs smoothly, is the very top line of that. There's more complexity, more nuance, but the overall message is the BIS understands the new sheriff's in town and they have to adjust, is how I read that. But that's going to be down in my video description under sources. If you want to read it and give me your opinion of that, please do as well. And while we're here, guys, if you could, please hit the like button. And if you like this kind of reporting where we give you just facts and different ways to look at the crypto market, please consider hitting the subscribe button. We would love to have you a part of the channel. And thank you to anybody that has already subscribed to this channel already. You guys are amazing. You know I cannot do this without you. Now let's move into this back half. We're going to move a little bit quicker here. We're going to talk about the EU, the MiCA license, Versa Bank with Algorand, and then also a new announcement with BlackRock and Bitcoin, then an announcement with Canton. And I'm putting all this together so you can see the bigger picture. When the banks are stepping in, the banks are stepping in. So check this out. This is going to come from MSB Intel on June 15th, 2026. Read along with me here. It says, breaking, Europe's crypto firms have 2 weeks to hold a MiCA license or stop operating. Only about 250 are approved so far, down from 2,700 to 3,000 before the rule. What's important about that one, think about it, we just now read about the BIS talking about NBFIs, those fall in exactly aligned. And now you see that Europe is telling them, you better get your license or this is done with, right? So they're putting more pressure on this. And as we're talking about NBFIs, we're seeing that they're getting their licenses. They're making definitely an impact on this financial system. But what about the banks that are already crypto-based, digital-based? Well, one like Versa is definitely setting the standards. And I think Versa gets overlooked. But when you look at Versa Bank, it's important to understand they are fully chartered banked out of Canada. They're subsidiary here in America, but overall, they are fully chartered digital asset bank. Like that's important to really let that sink in. And as you see, well, let's move into the story here. We'll catch up here in a second. Check it out here. From Alex France, it says, latest SEC filing from Versa Bank, June 3rd, 2026, is really interesting. After launching a successful completion of the pilot phase for blockchain-based tokenization deposits across ALGO, ETH, and XLM, it looks like Versa Bank USA are actively working toward a potential commercial launch. Tokenized bank deposits are massive blockchain and use case bringing regulated bank money on chain. The filing says Versa Bank expects to conclude the pilot testing next month, after which they plan to work with US and Canadian regulators towards commercializations. And as we think about tokenization, deposits, etc., let's bring this story back up, which was JP Morgan, Citi, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo are reportedly building their own tokenized deposit network by 2027. So Versa Bank has already implemented this style of banking, and yet now we see the American major legacy banks are stepping up and doing the same thing essentially by building their own network. And this is all getting tied together, guys. This is all moving forward. 2026 is the year of tokenization, bringing banks on board, making all this a reality. We'll see what next year, 2027 is. I do think this is when this really goes live and you start seeing it being pushed on the public even more so. But let's move into the next story, which is from the Canton Foundation. And the reason I'm bringing this up is as we start to see banks and institutions step into crypto in a major way, we're seeing the evolution of these different networks start to evolve. More recent announcements coming up to adjust for this demand in the market. So from the Canton Foundation coming out on, let me see what date that was, June 14th, 2026, they have a new update. So check it out. It says CIP 0112 has been approved, Canton Network token standard V2. This is a major upgrade to the CIP 0056 token standard that governs how assets are issued, transferred, and settled across. V2 introduces the improvement across privacy, performance, and capability with traditional financial accounting. I'm not going to read all this. Please screenshot that or use this link down in the description. I'm trying to save time here, guys. But it says the V2 standard is designed to bridge Tradfi, settlement workflows, and DeFi composability at the same infrastructure without splitting on-chain ecosystem. Approved June 12th, 2026. So when I'm reading that, I'm seeing that the Canton Network, and if you've been following the Canton Network, they are a major privacy network that these institutions are going to need. It has the ability to, you're able to control what information is seen by your competitors. So this is a big move. There's more to it, but this is awesome. You're going to see banks start moving in a big way. Now we're going to hear from Eric Balakunas, and it's going to be about BlackRock's new Bitcoin ETF. I know people don't really care about ETFs, but let's read these stories and let's talk about it here in a second. So this is from Eric Balakunas. This is June 15, 2026. It says beta went effective Friday afternoon, launch imminent, probably Thursday, give or take a day. This is the much anticipated follow-up to the IBIT, the fastest growing ETF of all time by miles, even if you use current asset under management. But over here, we also have more of a detail of this, what this means. It says BlackRock just made a Bitcoin boring. This is the best way possible. Beta, a yield generating Bitcoin ETF, 27 to 41% annually from volatility, not price speculation. It says first came IBIT, 50 billion in Bitcoin exposure. Now comes beta, 50 billion generating yield. Institutions don't need Bitcoin to pump to profit anymore. They profit whether it moves up, down, or sideways. Every wealth manager in America is about to have a very interesting conversation with their clients. So we're bringing all this together. We're seeing that BlackRock, major institutions, BIS, Canton Network, JP Morgan, Chase, all these banks are stepping in and they are positioning themselves. And why am I talking about that? When we think about what's going on with the Clarity Act and all the conflict around the world, I personally do believe that this is a bigger distraction And what we're seeing is the banks and the whales, the big dogs, step into the market. They are positioning themselves. They are getting aligned. And as I've been saying, if you follow the channel, as these institutions are getting aligned, when this switch flips, quote unquote, it's going to be some time. When they flip the switch, by the time it goes live and it's ready, retail will be priced out on a lot of these assets. If you're here now, definitely appreciate the moment. This moment only happens once in a lifetime if we're that lucky. So hopefully you enjoyed something in this video. Hopefully you guys see the bigger picture here, and you're going to spend more time doing research than chasing price action and worrying about the price charts. Once you do that, things become more level, you become more calm, and you respond differently to the market. That's all I have for you in this video. Before I let you guys go, take care of yourself, take care of the people around you, become the change you want to see in the world. Thank you guys so much for hanging out this long. I'll catch you on the next one.